In this video, I'm not going to teach you how to become fabulously wealthy or how to retire as fast as humanly possible. But what I am going to explain is a straightforward way that you can save enough money that you can retire 30 years from today and maintain the same standard of living that you are currently enjoying. The first question is, how much money do you need 30 years from now in order to enjoy that same standard of living? Now, the great thing about this plan is that it will work regardless of how much money you have right now. So right now, you're earning X amount of money. And in 30 years, you will, in some ways, need a bit less money, because if you're currently paying the mortgage on a house, 30 years from now, that mortgage will be paid off, so you won't have to pay for housing anymore. Also, right now, every single month, you're going to be saving some money for your retirement, but in 30 years, when you've accumulated enough money, you won't be saving anymore. So you're not going to need to pay for your mortgage, and you're also not going to need to pay for your retirement anymore. So those are two different things you don't have to pay for, and your mortgage will be about 30% of your monthly income, and your retirement savings are going to be about 15% of your monthly income. So those things together mean 45% of your current income that you won't need in 30 years. However, here's the other thing that we have to take into consideration: inflation. 30 years from today, our money will be worth about half what it's worth today. So, for example, if right now we need 100% of our income in order to live and maintain the standard of living that we have, well, we are going to need 45% less of it. So that means that we would only need 65% of this money. However, because inflation cuts that money in half, we'll need twice that much. So we'll actually need 130% of our current income level. So right now, if we are earning, say, $50,000 per year, then that means that in 30 years to maintain the same standard of living, we will need to have $65,000 per year. So the next big question is, well, then how much money do we need to save in order to be able to pay ourselves $65,000 a year and retire at that same standard of living that we have right now? Now, there's two different ways you could approach this. One is to save all of the money that you're going to need up until the time that you die. But not only do you not know exactly when you're going to die, and you might end up living a really long time, but it also would be really difficult to save that much money. Fortunately, there's another way, and the other way that you can do this is to save enough money that the interest that that money earns will be enough for you to live on. Because if you have, say, $1 million saved and you're earning 10% interest on that money, and this is just an example, but if you were earning 10% interest on that money, then every year the interest would be earning you $100,000. You could live on that $100,000 and not diminish the money that you had in savings at all. So what this plan is going to enable you to do is to save enough money to be able to live off the interest of your savings so that you will never run out of money. So this plan is going to work whether you're 20 right now or 30 or 40. Now, if you are older than 40, then you might want to consider a different retirement plan, because this plan will take 30 years. And so you will be retiring at probably too old of an age if you're beyond about 40. But let's take a look at how this math is going to play out. So we've already determined that we are going to need about 130% of our current level of income. So if X is the amount of money that we want to have every year, then we need to figure out what X is 8% of. And the reason that I'm using this 8% here is because the stock market on average gains 8% per year or a bit more. And so after you pay the various fees, you can expect to earn an average of 8% per year if you are buying something called index funds, which follow the trends of the market. Now, of course, if you are picking random stocks or even trying to intelligently pick stocks, then your results can vary very wildly. But if you stick to index funds that are following the trends of the market, then you can expect to earn that average of 8%. So going back to this, if, for example, we determined that we need to have that $65,000 per year, then we're wondering, what is that 8% of? what number right here do we need to accumulate in order to earn $65,000 every year? So I've got a financial calculator here on my phone, and I am just going to figure that out really quick. Okay, so in this scenario, and remember this was for $50,000 a year, in this scenario we would need to accumulate $812,000. However, fortunately, we don't actually have to save that much money ourselves because compounding interest is going to help us get there also. Okay, so now let's take a look at how this actually plays out at two different income levels. The first income level we are going to look at is $40,000, which is about $20 an hour, and it is a little under the average American income. So $40,000 a year works out to about $333 per month. And so if you want to be able to retire in 30 years, then you need to spend about 30% or up to 30% of your income on the house that you are purchasing. So in this scenario, that 30% would be almost exactly $1,000. Now, of course, you can buy a house that is cheaper than that if you want to save more money and perhaps retire sooner, or you could buy a house that was more expensive than that if you cut expenses in other areas or you're fine with retiring a bit later. So mortgage is going to be about $1,000, and by the way, that is 30% of your monthly income. And these percentages here in this column, they are going to stay exactly the same regardless of what your income level is. So you can apply these percentages to your income level and you will be able to retire in 30 years and maintain your same standard of living. So 30% for your mortgage, 30% for other basic necessities. So this might be things like transportation. It also might be food and your utilities, all the things that you need. If you were earning $40,000 a year, then you'd want to be spending no more than about $1,000 a month on those basic things. Next up, you can afford to spend around 10% or so of your income on fun, discretionary spending. So in this case, that would work out to be about $330. Then we'll want to save some money for short-term savings so that if an emergency comes up, or if we're just saving for something that we want, like a vacation or a new car, that we are able to afford it without having to dip into our retirement savings that we're trying to build up. So I recommend putting at least 10% into those short-term savings, and in this scenario, that would equal $330 per month. Then we could spend 5% of our income on giving, gifts, charity, things like that. And in this scenario, that would equal $165 per month. Of course, this is all optional. You can change these numbers around however you want. The most important ones for this equation to work out is that your mortgage isn't more than about 30% of your income. And this very last one here, which is that your monthly savings are 15% of your income. This is really the very, very, very most important number here. You want your retirement savings to be 15% of your income. If you save 15% of the income and you are getting that average of 8% return on your money, then in 30 years, you will be able to retire and have the same standard of living that you have today. Now, of course, you could let your money grow for longer than 30 years and you would accumulate a lot more of it, or you could invest more than 15% of your income and get a lot more of it. But if you just want your same standard of living, 15% for 30 years is where it's at. And so in this scenario, that is going to be almost exactly $500. Very specifically, it's $495. But so that's what that looks like if you are at $40,000 a year. And by the way, $40,000 a year is if you're earning $20 an hour. Okay, so now let's look at one more scenario, and in this scenario, you earn a bit more than average. You're going to earn $80,000 a year. And just a quick moment of motivation and inspiration. If you don't earn this much right now, just know that your income level is never set in stone. It is always adjustable. You can always acquire new skills and increase your income level. It's not fixed. You're not stuck earning the amount that you're earning right now. There's always going to be more opportunities to increase your income level. So don't just say, oh, well, that's not me. Figure out a way that you can increase your income if that's something you want to do. Okay, so let's get back to the math. So at this income level, your monthly income will be about $6,700. And so of this, again, we're going to follow those same percentages right over here. So we can spend up to about 30% of our income on our housing payment. And in this case, that is going to work out to right around $2,000 a month. So you could buy a house that the mortgage payment is around $2,000, and if you're getting an interest rate that's around 4.5–5%, then that would be about a $400,000 house, just for reference. Then you can spend another 30% on your basic expenses, and so that would be another $2,000 on your transportation, food, utilities, whatever you need. And in this scenario, maybe you don't need that much money for your basic expenses, so maybe you get to spend a little bit more in your fun category because you are at a higher income level. But you can maintain these exact same percentages as we did before, and it will work out really well for you. So in this case, you would have about $660 of fun money every single month, or rather $670. And so then the next category, what did we put next? I think we put your short-term savings next. And so those need to be about 10%. And so that, again, will be about $670 per month. And then we've got 5% for giving. You might want to give more than this if you are at a higher income level. But so that's going to work out to about $335 or so. Okay, and then your final category that is the most important one for this whole scenario to work out is that 15% per month for your retirement savings. And so in this scenario, that would work out to almost exactly $1,000 per month. So if you save $1,000 per month, then let's do a quick calculation and see how much that will turn into in 30 years. So we are saying that we're starting with $0 every single month. We are putting in $1,000 for 360 months, that's 30 years, at an annual compounding interest rate of 8%. And at the end of that time, we will have $1.4 million. And this will be the right amount for us to maintain our same standard of living without even depreciating that. And something that's really cool about that is that all this money will be left when you do die, and you can pass that along to your kids or to some other sort of legacy. So that's how much money you will have accumulated. The interest on that, the 8% interest, will be equal to 130% of this, which is the amount that you will need to have every single year to maintain your same standard of living with inflation taken into account, but no longer needing your housing payment or to spend the money on savings every single month. So basically we just get to cross out the mortgage because your house is completely paid off, and we also get to cross out that 15% for retirement savings every single month. Now, of course, about that mortgage, you got this house, you've completely paid it off. You aren't stuck in that house. You can sell that house and buy a new house. You can even do that multiple times through the cycle, and as long as you don't spend the money but rather invest your equity in your old house into your new house, you'll be just fine and still on track. And in fact, if at the end of this time you did sell your house and you took the money that you got from the sale of your house, you put it into your investment account, this big lump sum down here, you would be earning 8% interest on that money also, and then you could buy a new house and pay for the mortgage on the new house, and you'd only be paying 4 to 5% interest on that mortgage, so you would actually be ahead if you did indeed sell that house. So I found this math really interesting. I'm a little bit of a nerd though. I woke up at 2:30 this morning with this running through my head thinking, we can all retire in 30 years from now. Isn't that cool? So I thought that I would share it with you because I feel like this really changes the game about thinking about retirement and just seeing how realistic it is, and that it doesn't even matter what income level you're at right now. Sure, it would be tough to become extremely wealthy if your income's really low right now, but you can follow a simple plan like this and at least maintain your same standard of living. And of course, you can work on increasing your income level too so that you can accumulate more money if that's something that you care about. And if that is something that you're interested in, then there's two main ways you can do it. One is to work on improving or increasing, expanding your skills so that you are worth more on an hourly basis to an employer so that you can earn more money every year. The other way is to do some sort of side hustle, to start a side business, to do some freelance work, and to earn some extra money on top of the money that you are actually earning from your full-time job. If that's something that you're interested in, I actually put together a list of 50 different freelance business ideas that you can check out. I put on the list the incomes of these 50 different jobs and also what the job actually is and what it entails and the skills that you would need in order to do that job. There's some jobs on the list that just about anyone with just some basic skills can do, and then others that are a bit more technical that also pay better. So if you want to check out that list, then just check the description box down below. It's completely free, so you can just grab it with that link down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to join me for another video soon and you haven't already, then click that subscribe button down there because I make new videos every single week all about entrepreneurship, success, and personal development, and I would definitely love to have you join me for the next one. So I hope to see you again sometime very soon. My name is Gillian Perkins. I hope you're having a fantastic week, and I'll see you next time.